I'm going to kick it off with this one. So, old Bobby. Bobby. He typically gets 30 odd million a year. Now, we should be fair to Mr. Kotick. That's not cash. He does have his salary component, and I believe the vast majority then is, the vast majority of his total compensation package, because apparently talking about Bobby's package is what we're doing today, it is in the form of stocks. Now, stocks, in order to, actually, buy something, you need to convert your stocks into monies. Into whatever your currency is, and of course, if you do that, you've got to. Well, I was going to say you've got to declare the taxes. I don't know. I think a man like Bobby can probably get around all those problems if he really wants to.
Almost certainly.
So there is that, but another side of it too is if you keep on like Bobby accruing humongous amounts of shares, then any time that a dividend is issued, bam, Bobby just gets a big old shot of the cash. So it's that sort of thing where the amount of CEO compensation as compared to the average or median whatever employee in a company it's a sort of thing that I believe in the past it was a bit more 5x, 10x, maybe 20x, which you can sort of see in the realms of reasonability. If you've got some large corporation, the person at the top at the end of the day, the decision that they make could impact the lives of so many people and so many shareholders, so many employees, all of that stuff. So, yeah, they should be well compensated because you want the best decision maker there. However, I believe in some of those US companies, the compensation ratio is now getting to like 200 or 300 times.
300x, I believe. It's the growth rate of CEO pay versus average worker salary has just been on the steadiest incline I think we've seen in quite a while. I mean, I'll see if I can bring it up here.
Yeah, can they? I don't think they can see the...
They should be able to, yep.
Yeah, there it is.
They should be able to. Yes.
Oh.
Yes, this is the one everyone likes to look at, which is CEO compensation has grown 940% since 1978. And does this have the graph? Yeah.
Yeah, up it goes.
That's with the S&P, obviously. Where's the other one? Yes. So that's CEO to worker compensation ratio. Whee!
Yeah, and it's one of those things where whenever there is a... I'm trying to find the right word to say this. It's like if... yeah, it's hard to put it right, but basically you do want there to be large incentives for stuff like this, but it just gets to the point where it's bloody insane.
Yeah.
And I'd imagine also a bit self-defeating because the impact of this has got to have on employee morale.
Yeah.
I mean... It seems absurd.
Yeah, at least in trying to speak to a wide variety of people like on this topic, because obviously people get really riled up over this, and I end up with not quite in fights, but I end up in let's say somewhat heated conversation with my friends over this, because I'm like, obviously a CEO has a lot of responsibility. They have like billions of dollars weighing on them at all times in every decision they make. Being paid significantly more than someone who's got like little responsibility obviously makes sense, but the fundamental problem isn't that CEOs are paid too much, it's that workers aren't generally paid enough by comparison, so it just looks bad. It's that kind of short-term thing.
Yeah, I guess it's that thing where ideally we'd all like to say a rising tide sort of raises all boats, but you're in situations where the CEO pay is skyrocketing, but the employees are, it's if that was like the company's like returns and profitability shooting up like that, and then it's wow, the CEO is so damn rich, and then the employees are all doing super well for themselves as well, then that's a bit more okay. Yeah. But when that disparity just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it really seems like the rules that apply to optimizing the cost and the efficiency of the workforce, don't apply to the people at the top. That's when it seems like a whole pile of bullshit.
That's what I think you'd probably call corruption in a better world.
Yeah, it's like it may not be corruption literally because it's all like whatever, but it's corrupting. It is corruption.
Yeah.
Like I don't mean that in a very specific sense. I mean that in a like the foul forces of corruption weighing upon the realm. I kind of mean it like that. So yeah, this 200 million thing for Bobby, it's basically just a horrendously bad look because at the same time they got rid of 190 employees. I should say up to.
Yes.
But Jason Schreier, I mean, he did basically say that number, I imagine, for a reason. And what's interesting there is it seems like they tried to pull a fast one on us.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty scummy. I mean, it's standard PR business. If you can't, if you're a company like this and you can pull a fast one over people to suppress bad news, then you're going to do it. That's just how it works. But they initially said, oh, we're laying off 50 people in esports.
Yep. Because
we're focusing less on live events. But then it turned out it was actually up to 190 people, not 50 people, and they just, they tactically informed us of the employment changes of one business department or something, instead of actually just saying what was happening. And then the final kick in the teeth there is the $200 Battle.net gift card that people got. And it's the sort of thing there where, okay, look, currency, what is currency? You can get into a whole big old discussion there. $200 of Battle.net balance. It's not $200.
Not even close.
Unless Blizzard sells you digital sandwiches or IOUs for a bloody sandwich. $200 in the Battle.net store. All that gives you is $200 worth in Blizzard's eyes of database entry manipulations and flags that they can put on your user account. So you see something like that, never think that it's generosity or anything like that. It would be stupid as fuck to think that. I mean, so what? It'll save some of your WoW sub, but I think for a bunch of the people are like, especially for many of them, I saw one guy on Twitter, he'd worked at the company for many years, and you're like, oh great, I've got the boot, I've got 3 months of severance, and $200 of Battle.net balance, which obviously is not something that's a good look. And I think they maybe do that because they want to seem like they're being nice externally, but I think to just about anybody with a brain, they see that and it feels cynical, right? Like, here's the thing. If you're going to give your employees $200 of Battle.net balance, fuck away off and give them $200 instead. Oh, wait, that would actually involve giving them $200 instead of just changing a database entry for their account that says they've got 200 virtual dollars, which basically don't exist.
Yeah. And also, let's not ignore the fact that, if that's $200, you're gonna buy maybe Call of Duty for yourself. Now that you don't have a job, you have time to play Call of Duty. Maybe you'll buy it for a friend. Maybe you'll end up sometime down the line putting money into all of the recurring revenue. You're a monthly active user, so they're getting. It's not that they're giving you a little bit of it's going to be a hard time. Go play Crash 4 when it launches on PC. It is basically, hello, we have downgraded you from employee to monthly active user. We're just going to squeeze that last little bit out of you before you go.
Oh, that's funny.
And it's like, the audacity of it is shocking because I'm pretty sure at least when people went down the mines and were paid in factory tokens instead of real money, at least they could actually get food with that at the cafeteria.
Yeah. At least they could use their mining equipment to beat people up if it got too bad.
Yeah, of course.
No, I'm not calling for a revolution or anything like that. Do not take that statement as any view of my own politics, etc., 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 blah, blah, blah. Come on. But, yeah, I mean, you can't exactly... can't mount the resistance with their gift card.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, at least give them an Amazon gift card. At least they could get something useful with that. So, I mean, there you go. That's basically the news. They are optimizing units of their business, and it's a bad look. Now, I do want to come in here and say that actually, a CEO is somebody who can be paid to hire people. And that's very important, hiring the right people. They also, part of their job, maybe, is firing people and making those big decisions. And it turns out that if you truly do not want to be in live games, why should you be forced to keep a live events team? Because what, firing them would give you bad PR? Like, if that's not somewhere where you think your business should be, why would you keep those people on? So I do have to then come in and try to be a bit more balanced with this, right? Because it's easy to use this as ammunition to sling mud at Blizzard and all that stuff. At the end of the day, if they don't want a live team, they don't have to have a live team. And even for the people who would be working on that live team, I mean, if you're in a company that doesn't even want to, doesn't want to employ you and is only, doing it to just keep you on so it doesn't look bad, then that's obviously not a good position for somebody's career to be in. It's also worth noting, and this is something I think has been really devoid of most of the coverage that I've seen, this is 50 staff. The costs of doing live events are a lot more than 50 people's salaries. You've got to get venues. You've got to get all of the gear. You've got to get contractors, security staff, craft services. So each one of those 50 people, if you think about the amount of money that is going to be spent, in many cases, based on the decisions that those people make, hiring craft services for a production crew, hiring a production crew, getting a venue. Yeah, so it's not just that they're being stingy to get rid of, a few people with that live events thing. It's like some of the cost of live events is salary, some of it's all the other things that go on. If they don't want to be there, they shouldn't have to be there. I would not advocate for a situation where, they're like forced to keep people on that they don't want to have on. I think the point here is that it feels so damn hypocritical whenever a business is, in a way, doing what a business should be doing, which is making sure it's a tight ship, that it's efficient, that it's not, that it's not allocating capital inefficiently. Ultimately, a business, one of the things that exists to do is to efficiently allocate capital to produce growth. And all of those things seem like absolute hypocritical bullshit when at the same time the CEO's getting 200 million because apparently, technically speaking, the 200 million is because of Activision Blizzard's stock performance over the last while, and that's essentially bonuses in his contract that he's unlocked. So that's why it's 200 million all of a sudden, when we were, used to a paltry 30 million a year.
Of course.
But it still does make it look, hypocritical and all of that stuff. So it's that sort of thing. You want to go in there and give the balanced take, the balanced opinion of how to actually think about a business without it devolving into screaming. But you kind of can't do that because, bloody hell, look what the top is doing. Look what the top of the business is doing.
Yeah, I think if, even with the argument that... Bobby's being rewarded for the stock price going up. The stock price continues to go up despite all of his decisions. It's like, clearly the interest of shareholders and the interests of the employees don't align. In an ideal world, they maybe should, but I think that's a very big discussion.
Well, what I would say there, Johnny says the point of a business is to make money. Are you new? Yeah, making money is like the output. So technically speaking, the thing that a publicly traded company has got to do is provide shareholder returns. And one of the way that a business makes money is by efficiently allocating capital. Because that's what you do. You've got your resources, you deploy them effectively, that's how you make the money. So I think the way that I would frame it is trying to be just a little bit more of a fine point on how a business actually operates. So that was basically the point there. And I think the only way to get around things like this is situations where the staff and their own personal fortunes are a bit more pegged to those of the company. Here, 10% profit share is what we do. I don't know what Blizzard does. I hear that, if you hit one of those more senior roles at Blizzard, that your bonuses can actually get quite chunky. But what we learned from some of those things that were filtering out last year is that while that may be the case for those, seniors and, the really more high up people, there's maybe a sort of lower class who aren't really getting that good treatment. I mean,
almost certainly.
Yeah, the salaries that they're being paid are, from what I understand, way below what is average. And Blizzard actually does do a thing where they try to inflate total compensation by adding on a whole bunch of numbers for the benefits and stuff like that you get, which in a way is fair enough, but at the same time, you can't pay for your rent with benefits. And so I think that's most of that story. Basically, it's just a bad bad look.
Yeah, I have one thing I'll add before we move away. This was the story was initially highlighted because it was esports and live events people that were laying off, and there's a pandemic involved. But I think Bobby being rewarded for their stock price going up when the reason they have to move out of live events is because they've absolutely massively bungled the Overwatch League in so many ways since the dawn of time. I was literally just like, before we started, I was just listening to the Four Horsemen, the Inside on Esports guys, talk about it, and they do not have nice words to say. They really don't.
Yes, that does not surprise me in the slightest.
No.
Yeah, I mean, wild situation, but there you go. That's I think that's most of what to cover there. I mean, another thing you could say is that some of those, CEO numbers getting so insane. There's a bit of me that wonders if it's just like you kind of have this professional executive class of people, and that's why like Dennis Durkin is on 16 million a year, or something like that. Laura Miele, I think she's the head of studios at EA. Her like she was like, it was a 3.1 something million yearly, but then it went up to 16 million because she did actually seemingly do a good job. But wow, what a pay increase that was. And one of the analogies that I sort of had, and it's not a perfect one, but it's more just to say that whenever you have a supply demand thing and specific sets of skills and all of that jazz, you just get weird like micro economies appear sort of, and you think of like footballers and stuff, and like the amount of footballers being poached from other teams and the insane salaries that those footballers get, the transfer sort of, the amount of money it takes to get a footballer from another team, the sell price, all of that stuff, where it's like completely bonkers to everybody else who's just residing here on Earth. But it's like its own weird ecosystem. Yeah. And it's almost like the CEO thing is its own weird ecosystem, but it's one that is pretty damn impactful to everything. And yeah, so okay, we've done it.
Yeah, we've covered one story.
One story.
We'll get there.